In terms of micro lending, we're definitely targeted towards the smaller business. Generally, a business that's going to be doing under $1 million in sales, more than likely under $500,000 in sales per year. Your capital needs are going to be anywhere from $3,000 to $50,000. So those are going to be generally capital that's going to be used for, purchasing, equipment, fixed assets, things of that nature. Not a lot, not so much for working capital or a large expansion, things of that nature, but really something to kind of help your business get to the next level, to handle that initial contract, to handle that next contract that you're going to get. So the difference between Axion or micro lenders and some of the banks are not that many. We have the same underwriting standards to a certain degree in terms of the types of requirements. We're still going to want to see, balance sheets, profit and loss statements, income statements, bank statements, tax returns, things of that nature. But we have some flexibility in terms of our underwriting of those loans and our ability to kind of look at your situation on an individual level, kind of see where your business is, where it's going, and hopefully lend some support, to what's going on to your business as well.
Okay. All right. I have collected some questions, but if you have more questions, raise your hand and I'll come running around when we work off my coffee. Okay. Let's see. Why don't we start, since we ended with Kevin, and I would pose this to Kevin and probably to Eli. And the question is, how do I gain access to starting capital? So, but this is not the right question or right interpretation is, if I want to get started, I have a good idea, I'm kind of in that seed stage or the startup stage, what is the availability of capital for someone like me?
Unpopular answer, not a lot. Realistically speaking, startups now in this particular environment, it's going to be very difficult to get financing from Axion and really from anybody ultimately. You're going to have to demonstrate that you have something to put in. You have to have some skin in the game. So I would probably say your first option is going to be looking at obviously family, friends, some investment that you may have yourself. I think Eli made a point earlier. You have to sort of plan when you want to be in business. So if you're planning to be in business and you're planning to start your business and you don't have anything to kind of put down towards your business, it may not be the ideal time for you to start your business. With Axion, we do startup loans. Generally, you're going to have a qualified co-signer to qualify for that startup loan, and for quite a few people that eliminates them for that process.
I think Kevin had some great points when I would agree that it is one of the more challenging things, but I would say this, and my scope is both small business and retail credit for the Southeast, so I can tell you that a lot of our customers have come in with that same challenge. It's not to say that the capital is not available, it's making sure that you look at all your options. And Kevin got several that I would completely agree with. There's access to capital beyond financial institutions that you can look at, family, friends, other community-based programs. But I would also say that one of the things that many small business entrepreneurs start with is personal finance and continuing income streams outside your existing or your business idea, if you will. So, for example, if I wanted to start a business, probably a good idea not to leave my great current position at Wells Fargo, which I love so much, and just say, tomorrow I'm going to open up my dream of a donut shop. And I would like to do that, but staying with it and looking at using your personal finance, which we don't recommend, but it is one of those last lines of defense, as Kevin mentioned. Folks that have home equity, there's no limitation for you to say, I'm going to use that to fund my business. Now the trick is, in those situations, is how do you separate that line of finance later on? It's important to grow business credit in your business name for future growth. So it's not the best way to do it, but there are different alternatives. But it is a challenge. Just recognize that may be something that comes up later on as well.
So let me just expand on it 1 second. I'll open up to the other panels too if anybody else has want to share. You mentioned a business credit card as really, people always know they were there, but it's becoming more of I don't know, primary maybe the wrong word, but more prominent in the market of how small businesses are financing their business. If I was a newer company or a company that just got my tax ID number and I came into a bank, what is a business credit card a viable option?
It is. In many institutions, such as Wells Fargo, I can say that we do not have a minimum amount of business for that particular credit solution. Now, if you're looking for $100,000 in seed capital, it's probably not going to happen on a credit card. But as I said earlier, 15% of our new business checking customers that are just opening their business account and are starting up a new company are offered that at the time of opening. So it definitely is a great solution for those that can qualify for that. The criteria, is pretty broad, but it is tied basically to how you performed your credit personally in the past. It's interesting too that when we make that offer to customers, many times the first thing people see is oh, I don't want a credit card. But the difference is, as we talked about earlier, it's not a credit card in your personal name. This is something that you're building your business credit with, and that's the main focus that most entrepreneurs have, is planning for future expansion. Great way to get started.
All right, we're going to go to the next question. I find the hard one next. Let's go. We talked a little bit about SBA, and so I'm afraid of. Terry talked about how banks are a good way to access SBA. Can you talk a little bit, and Terry, please feel free to jump in. If someone was to come into a financial institution, obviously your experience at Wells Fargo, how do they gain access to the SBA programs through the bank?
Well, usually when they come in through one of our retail stores, what they'll do is they'll match that customer as they open accounts with a business banker. That business banker will reach out and contact them. As that business banker is going through and learning about their business, learning about their operating cycle, and they're discussing different financing options, SBA will be one of the products that that business banker will bring up as an option, as long as their request fits the guidelines. And usually what he'll do is he'll bring his SBA partner, he'll contact one of our SBA representatives through Wells Fargo. They'll go out, they'll meet together, it'll be a warm handoff. It won't be something where the SBA representative is going to take over the relationship. The business bank will still be an intricate part of managing that relationship, but it'll just be another tool at his disposal. They'll go through the process of filling out the application and hopefully getting approved.
The way I always try to explain it is that the primary relationship is between the borrower, the small business, and the lending institution. The transaction where the guarantee is concerned is between the lending institution and the SBA, and that the lender is the gatekeeper. It may be, you might be fortunate enough that you don't need an enhancement, and if that's the case, fine. But if an enhancement is needed, then the SBA is a tool that's at the disposal of the lending institution to make that deal work.
This concludes part 3.